Hello, Willowbrook family. Today's daily deep dive is into John, chapter 1, verses 14 through 18. If you're old enough, you remember reading a newspaper almost every day. And at the top of page 1 was a headline. Now, these days, we get headlines on our phones throughout the day, but no matter how you got a headline was designed to draw you into the story and to make you want to read more about it. In verse 14, there is a jaw-dropping headline. It is in the very first sentence. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Back then, you basically had two types of readers, the Jews and people influenced by Greek culture. The New Testament is written in Greek. This first sentence would be very shocking to both groups. You see, in ancient times, the Greeks had a lower view of God. The ancient Greek gods, such as Zeus and Hermes, were just simply supermen. So when John tells the Greeks that the Word, Logos, who made and ordered the whole universe, came down here, well, that's very big news. The part of the sentence that would stand out to them would be the Word. But this is also very big news for the Jews, but for different reasons. The Jews believed that the Word, Logos, created and ordered the universe, but the fact that the Word, Jesus, came down here in the flesh would be jaw-dropping. The Jews also had a separate view of where God's place was up there and man's place is down here. So the fact that God would take on human form would be a big headline for sure. The words that would stand out in this headline for the Jews would be became flesh. John also uses another word that would be very interesting for the Jews. It's the word dwelt, which means to have one's tent or to spread his tabernacle. The Jews would understand that God had dwelt in a tabernacle in the past, but he has never dwelt in human flesh. So, now that John has everyone's attention, he backs up his bold headline by his own personal experience and the witness of others. John continues to tell the readers in verse 14 that he and others actually saw all of this firsthand. But actually, the Greek word for saw means more than we think. It means to behold, which means to watch closely, to study, to learn by observing. They studied the glory of God here on earth, and that this glory was not full of wrath and vengeance, but of grace and truth. You'll see and hear these eyewitness testimonies throughout the entire book of John. Now, in verse 15, John tells us about the experiences of John the Baptist telling us who Jesus is, and that he always has been the only begotten Son of God. John also testifies in verse 16 that we received the fullness of God and that his grace is unending. I think of it as the countless waves in the ocean, always moving. And in verse 17, John directs his attention primarily to the Jews. He reminds them that God gave them the law through Moses, but God's plan of grace and truth, which is another big headline, has come into being and to be fulfilled through Jesus. The law is fulfilled. And finally, in verse 18, he reminds the Jews what they already know. No one has ever seen God at any time until now. The only begotten Son of God, Jesus, is explaining the very nature and personality of God the Father. And the rest of the entire book of John is all about that. Now, that is a headline that will draw you in, and I pray it will make you want to read and study all about it. Have a great day in the Lord, Willowbrook.